Okay, I think I am live. Can anyone confirm that in the live chat, please? So we will start at 8. Okay. Okay. I think we can start now. So yeah, hello and welcome to this session. स्वागत है आप सभी का आज के सेशन में, which is so today's topic is trigonometry, basically height and distance. So this is an important topic because in any exam you can find at least 1 or 2 questions from this topic, height and distance. So we'll cover this topic today. And if you have come to this channel for the very first time, then I will request you to subscribe to this channel because there are so many free is there any issue? No. Because there are so many free videos that are being uploaded daily, we are coming up with these live streams for you. So if you are preparing for this exam, IIM Bangalore's UG admission test. So this series will be very helpful for you in your preparation. So if you have come for the very first time, I would want you to subscribe so that you are not missing out on any session. Okay. So today's topic is height and distance. So I think we can now start the session without wasting any further time. And if you have any doubt regarding any slide or maybe when we will be discussing questions, so if you have any doubt, you can just put it in the live chat and I will be happy to answer. Okay. Okay, so we can start now. Yeah, so before we begin, I have a few updates for you. Yeah, I think it is all sorted so that we can now look at the topic. Okay, so these are the few updates before I begin. So I would request you to just follow us on the WhatsApp channel. The link you will be able to find in the description box of this video. All the free preparation resources and important updates will be shared in that WhatsApp channel. So, and also you will be getting an opportunity to interact with other students who are also preparing for this exam. So link is of course in the description box. So if you are preparing, you can just join this WhatsApp channel. Okay. And apart from that, there are free 5 mock tests that we are providing. So these mock tests are available for free on the cracku.in portal. You can just search cracku.in/IIMBangalore's UG mock test. You can just click on free mock and you just need to register for it and you will be able to attempt those mocks for free. Okay. I think you will be able to attempt by just visiting this website. So this was about mock test that we are providing. Yeah. So today's topic is height and distance. So basically we will start with understanding a bit about trigonometric identities and later on we'll shift to height and distance, and I brought in a lot of questions from height and distance because like I told you, we can expect at least 1 or 2 questions in each and every exam in which this topic is asked. So it is an important topic. So we'll first cover something about trigonometric identities and then we will shift to height and distance. Okay. So this was about, yes, identities, formulas and application. So first let's understand a bit about trigonometric identities. So we have basically 6 trigonometric identities that are sine, cosine, tan, then the okay, let me write here so that it is better clear to you. So we have 6 trigonometric identities, okay, that are sine, cos and tan. I hope you must have studied these identities in your school, and the reciprocal of sine, that is cosec, reciprocal of tan is cot, and reciprocal of cos is sec. So basically we have 6 trigonometric identities and we will start with this xy plane. So let's try to understand what this graph is all about. So this is telling about that all are positive. So like I told you about 6 trigonometric identities. So in this quadrant there is first quadrant. So this is xy plane. So here x is positive, here x is negative, here y is positive and here y is negative. Okay, so in this first quadrant, okay, so this is first quadrant, this is second, this is third, and this is fourth. So the order also matters, right? We will move in the anti-clockwise direction. So this is first, this is second quadrant, this is third quadrant, and this is fourth quadrant. Okay, so in the first quadrant, all the trigonometric identities that are sine, cos, tan, and their reciprocals also all will be positive. In the second quadrant, only sine will be positive. So because sine is positive, then its reciprocal will also be positive. If we have a positive number, we write the reciprocal of it, then that number will also be positive number, right? So in the second quadrant, sine is positive as well as its reciprocal is also positive, that is cosec. In the third quadrant, tan is positive and of course its reciprocal, that is cot, will also be positive. And in the fourth quadrant, that is cosine is positive and its reciprocal, that is sec, is positive, and all the other quantities will be negative. So you can remember this with the help of this mnemonic, that add sugar to coffee. You can just look at the first letter, that is A, S, T, and C. So like I told you, this is first quadrant, this is second, this is third and fourth, and the order also matters. We will be moving in the anti-clockwise direction. So A denotes that all are positive, S denotes that the only sine and reciprocal of sine, that is cosec, is positive. Then T denotes that is third quadrant, tan is positive and the reciprocal of tan, that is cot, is positive. And in the fourth quadrant, that is cosine and reciprocal of cosine, that is sec, is positive. Okay, and all the other quantities will be negative. So this was basic about the trigonometric identities and in which quadrant which trigonometric identity is positive. So you can remember using this, that all add sugar to coffee, and you can just look at the first character. You will be able to identify in which quadrant which trigonometric identity is positive. Okay, I think this was an easy slide. If you have any doubts, you can just ask in the chat box. Yes, Vanashi, you can access the previous lectures also. Like I told you in this session also, that you can just subscribe to this channel because we are bringing so many free sessions for you, and you can just visit our channel and you will be able to find all the live classes there. Okay, we are covering all the topics, right? So you can just consider subscribing our channel and you will be able to find all the sessions. Okay, so that was it, and if there are no doubts regarding this, we can move ahead, right? So this is basically about Pythagoras theorem. I think this is also a basic thing, but I think I should include it, so I have included it. So of course you must have studied during your school time that this is a basic triangle. So if any angle of a triangle is 90 degree, then that triangle is known as right triangle. Okay, so this is a right triangle. So the side that is in front of the right triangle, sorry, the 90-degree angle, we call it as hypotenuse, that is H. And if we were talking about, let's say, from this, on the basis of this angle, so this will be perpendicular and this will be base. So let's say I denote these values as A, B, C. So if I say that I need to calculate the sine of C, so because I am representing C, so the perpendicular will be this side and the base will be this side. So if I say that I need to find the sine of this angle, so because I am looking from this angle, so the hypotenuse will remain the same, but because I am looking to calculate sine of angle of A, so the perpendicular will be this. So this will be perpendicular in that case, and this will be base. Okay, so perpendicular and base may shift because it depends on from which angle we are looking at, but the hypotenuse will remain same. It will be in front of the right angle. Okay, so this I think you must have studied during your school time. So this is the right angle, this is hypotenuse, so this is angle A, and if I need to calculate sine of angle A, then the perpendicular will be the side opposite to angle A, that is CB in this particular case, and the remaining side will be base. So this is perpendicular and this is base. And I hope you must have also known this particular theorem, that perpendicular square plus base square is equal to hypotenuse square. This is basic Pythagoras theorem. But what is more important is to know the three ratios. Okay, so like I told you, there are 6 trigonometric identities, that is sine, cos, tan. So you can remember this using this, like even though we make a lot of shortcuts to remember this, in a school time we must have studied that, okay, Pandit Badri Prasad har har bole. So we can just just in case we want to remember this, we can just frame anything in our mind, or otherwise you can remember that okay, the first term is sine, second term is cos, and third term is tan. So sine will be perpendicular divided by hypotenuse, cos will be base upon hypotenuse, and tan will be perpendicular upon base. Okay, so sine will be perpendicular upon hypotenuse. I just told you a shortcut to remember. This is perpendicular upon hypotenuse, base is cos is base upon hypotenuse, and tan is perpendicular divided by base. From this I think you can notice that sine divided by cos will be equal to tan, right? If we just divide this, then h and h will cancel out and p upon b will be equal to sine upon cos. So we can say that tan is equal to sine upon cos. Okay, and also because there are 6 identities and the reciprocal of sine is cosec, so we can write cosec is equal to just the reciprocal of it. So it is p upon h. So this will be h upon p. Okay, because sine is equal to 1 upon cosec. Here cos will be sec is just reciprocal of cos. So because this is base upon hypotenuse, so this will be hypotenuse upon base. That is h upon b. And for tan, the reciprocal is cot. So this will be equal to base upon perpendicular. Okay. So I think they should be clear about this. But one more important result that we need to derive from this. If this is clear, we can move ahead. If you have any doubts, you can just put it in the live chat. Meanwhile, I will tell you a few important results from this slide. Okay. So because we know that p square is equal to p square plus b square is equal to h square, we can just write here as p square plus b square divided by h square. So we know this. So what we can do is just divide both the sides by just divide by h square from both sides. Okay, we can just divide by h square. Okay, so what we will get here is p square by h square plus b square by h square, that is equal to 1. Again, like I told you, you can remember this. Okay, so this is sine, this is cos, and this is tan. Okay, so p upon h is this, p upon h is sine, so p square by h square will be square of sine. So this is sine square. B by h, so b by h is cos, so this is cos square is equal to 1. So this is an important result, that sine square theta plus cos square theta is 1. You can take any angle and just try to explain it, that sine square plus cos square, whatever value you can take. For example, let's say sine square, we want to represent some angle also, sine square a plus cos square a, that is equal to 1. So this is an important result that you will be using a lot of times when you will be solving questions from trigonometry. And also if you, let's say you want to change from sine to cos, that also you can do. You can write sine square a is equal to 1 minus cos square a. So you can substitute the values in the questions as per the requirement of the question. So this was first important result. I hope this should be clear. I have just divided by h square both the sides. So to get the second important result, we can just divide it by p square. Okay. If I divide both the sides by p square, so what I will get here is, because p square by p square will be 1, then this will be b square divided by p square, and here it will be h square by p square. So 1 plus p square upon p square. Okay, so b square by p square will be 1 by tan, because tan is p upon b, so reverse of tan is cot, right? Tan is equal to 1 by cot, and b by p will be cot, and its square will be so cot square. So this will be square of cot. And h upon p, you can see here h upon p, because p upon h is sine, so h upon p will be cosec. So here it will come out to be cosec square. So again, this is also important result. You can just take cosec here and cot here, and you can just substitute the values as per the requirement of the question. But this is the basic result that you need to remember. because this is also very commonly used. Okay, so first was sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1, theta or maybe any angle, and this is 1 plus cot square theta is equal to cosec square theta. I think this should also be clear. And the last result would be, I can just divide by b square. Okay, these are the three important results from this slide. So this we can just divide by b square. So p square by b square plus b square by b square will be 1, and h square by b square. So p upon b will be 10, right? P upon b is 10, so p square by b square will be square of 10. So 10 square plus 1, h upon b will be this. So h upon b is just reciprocal of cos. So reciprocal of cos is sec. So this will be sec square, and whatever angle you want to write. So you can write, you can remember is that tan square theta plus 1 is equal to sec square theta. Theta means any angle, right? So this is also an important result that you need to remember from this. So these are the three important results that you can derive using the Pythagoras theorem. I hope this should be clear from this. If you have any doubts regarding any of the results, you can just ask in the live chat. Otherwise, we can move ahead. Okay. Let me see if you have any doubts regarding any of the results that we have just derived. Yes, you can definitely cover the topics, Banashri. I think you can just watch the sessions at 1.5x or maybe 1.25x. But you can definitely be able to cover it. The exam is on 13th of December, right? So you have close to 20 days. So you can definitely look at the sessions and prepare. Okay. And also, yes, height and distance is important topic. You should definitely not skip this topic. We see a lot of questions, even though, like you rightly mentioned, that we do not find a lot of questions in IIM exams, even though there are a few, but not much. But in the other exams, we see a lot of questions from height and distance. So you should not skip this topic. Okay. Okay, moving ahead. So these are a few values about the sine, cos, tan, cosec, sec, and cot. You need to just remember the first row. That sine of 0 is 0, sine of 30 is 1 by 2, sine of 45 is 1 by root 2, sine of 60 is root 3 by 2, and sine of 90 is 1. So if you can just remember this first slide, you will be able to derive all the remaining values. That is, if you know that, okay, the sine of 0 is 0, sine of 30 is 1 by 2, and so on, then you can just write these things in the reverse order. That sine 90 is 1, so you can write 1 here. Then root 3 by 2 you can write here, 1 by root 2, then 1 by 2 here, and 0 here. So if just on the basis of this particular row, you will be able to derive all those things. And also we know that tan is just sine upon cos. We just saw in the last slide. Then sine upon cos is equal to tan. So we need to just divide this. So 0 divided by 1 will be 0. 1 by 2 divided by 3 by 2. So 2 will cancel out. It will come out to be 1 by root 3 and so on. So again, and cosec is just the reverse of sine. Sec is just the reverse of cos, and cot is just the reverse of tan. So on the basis of this value, we will be able to get this value. And with the help of these two values, we will be able to get the value of tan. And the remaining terms are just the reciprocals. So we will be able to remember all the values. Okay. So this was about the values of sine 0 degree, 30 degree, 45 degree, and so on. I think you just need to remember the first row. There is nothing much that I need to explain in this particular slide. So we can move ahead. Yeah. So before we look at this condition, I think there is one important thing that I need to explain to you. Okay. So like we started with the XY plane, right? So if let's say this is the XY plane, and this is of course the vertical line, so that is 90 degree, this is 0 degree as well as 360 degree, this is 180 degree, this is 270 degree. So when we will be shifting from 90 degree or 270 degree, the identity will change. What does that mean? So if I write sine of 90 minus theta, so this will change to cos. This will be cos theta. Even if I write minus theta or plus theta, this will change. So if I write sine 90 plus theta, it will be again cos theta. We'll look at the sign later on, but just looking at the changes that are happening in the identities. So when we will do some plus minus from 90 degree or plus minus from 270 degree, the identities change. So if you are moving from vertical line, be it here or there, then the identities are getting changed. So sine is getting changed to cos, and likewise you can find in this slide that sine and cosine. So sine will be changing in cos, cos will be changing in sine, tan will change into cot, cot will change into tan, and sec will change into cosec, and cosec will change into sec. Okay. So, but one more important thing that you need to note here is that because in the first quadrant all are positive, so we need not to worry, because 90 minus theta, that is 90 minus some value, will result in this particular quadrant. So there is no need to worry, it will be cos theta only. But when we are writing 90 plus theta data, that means that we are moving above 90, right? 90 plus theta means in this particular quadrant, and in the second quadrant we know that add sugar to coffee. Sugar means sine, this means tan, this means cos, right? So here the sign is positive. So because sign is positive, and also one more important thing is that we need to look at the initial value. So if this is the initial value, so sign, if we know that the sign is positive in the second quadrant, so the resultant value will also be positive. Let me take one more example so that it is more clear to you. Let's say I write cos. So of course, if it is 90 minus theta, then it will be sine theta only, and also because it is in the first quadrant, it will be positive. But if I write cos 90 plus theta, then it will be minus sine theta. Because I know I'm moving into the second quadrant. In second quadrant only sine is positive, so cos will be negative. We need to look at the initial value. So from here, because cos is negative in the second quadrant, so the resultant value will be negative. So this was all about that the identities are changing when we are shifting from the vertical line, either 90 or 270. The identities will change. So sine will change into cos, and cos will change into sine. Tan will change into cot, cot will change into tan, and sec will change into cosec, and cosec will change into sec. Now we will need to look about this important result. Okay. So if a plus b is 90 degree, then let's derive this particular result also. Okay, so if a plus b is 90 degree, so if I write, so we can write that a is equal to 90 minus b, right? So sine of a, I can write it as equal to sine of 90 minus b, right? Because a is equal to 90 minus b, so we can start with sine a is equal to sine a, and I can replace the sine a with 90 minus b. So sine a is equal to sine 90 degree minus b, and just now we saw that, okay, when we are moving from 90 degree, that is the vertical line, so either 90 or 270, the sine that identity will change. So sine 90 minus theta will be cos theta. So this will be equal to cos theta, that is cos of b. Because 90 minus theta is in first quadrant itself, so the sign will be positive, because in the first quadrant all the identities are positive. So sine a is equal to cos b when the sum of a and b is 90 degrees. So this is essentially what we are given here, is that so if a plus b is 90 degrees, then a is 90 minus b, b is 90 minus a. So what we can derive from here is that because a plus b is 90 degree, so a is equal to 90 minus b, so sine a is equal to sine 90 minus b, or sine a is equal to cos b. So here, if let's say I substitute some values, in place of a, if I write let's say 30 degrees, so it will be sine 30 will be equal to cos. When a is 30, then b will be 90 minus 30, right? That is 60. So it will be equal to cos 60 degrees, and so on. Whatever value you put, you can just subtract it from 90 degrees and you can put it here. Okay, if let's say I write sine 40 degrees here, so it will be equal to cos 50 degrees. Okay, so you can just remember this, and you can apply this to not just sine cos, you can apply this for other identities also. You can apply this for cot and tan also, you can apply the same thing for sec and cosec also. The only thing that you can remember, if the sum of the two angles is 90 degree, then you can apply this result. Okay, if and only if a plus b is equal to 90 degree, then you can apply this result that sine of a is equal to cos of b. Okay, I think this should also be clear, so that we can move ahead now. Let me see if you have any doubts, otherwise we will move to height and distance then. Okay, I don't think, no doubts sir. Okay, so moving on to heights and distance. Let's try to take this with the help of this example. I guess this should be clear with this image. So let's say if, because I'm standing here, so this is my eye level. Let's say I'm looking at any object which is above my eye level. Let's say if I'm looking at some building or maybe some pole or some height that is above my eye level. So I'm looking like this, right? Okay, I'm looking like this. So this is the base level of my eye and I'm looking there. So this is the angle that is being created. This is called angle of elevation. I hope this should be clear. So here it is the object and this is my eye level, right? So whatever angle this will make here will be angle of elevation. So if I'm looking at any object, or let's say height of any pole, or let's say height of any building or mountain, etc. So the angle that my I will make from this perpendicular to this, so that the angle will be angle of elevation. Same you can do for the angle of depression also. If I'm looking at any object which is, let's say, on the ground, so I will look at like this, right? So whatever angle that will make with the same eye level, let's say this is the perpendicular distance, so this is the perpendicular with respect to my eye, and the object is there, so this will be the angle, right? So the angle that will be made here will be angle of depression. So you can understand here that this is angle of depression. Let's say I denote it by theta dash. So this is angle of depression when we are looking at any object that is on the ground maybe, and when we are looking at any object which is at some height, so it will form angle of elevation. With the help of this example, this image, I think you should be able to understand this. And also, while you are solving the questions of height and distance, the most important result that you can remember is these three triangles. Even though the third one is not that important, but the initial two are very important. If you know that 30, 60, 90 degree triangle, the ratio of sides is 1 is to root 3 is to 2, you will be able to solve questions very quickly. Same is the case for 45, 45, 90. So let's see how these ratios are being derived. Okay, let's see how these ratios are being derived. Let's say I take a triangle. Of course, this will be applicable only in right angle triangles. This is a right angle triangle. Okay, it is here, it is 90 degree. This is C. Okay, let's take this as 30 degrees. This is 30 degrees. Of course, that will be 60 degrees because the summation of all the three angles is 180. So 180 minus 90 minus 30 will be 60. So this will be 60 degrees. Now, also I know that this result H, I know this result. This is sine, this is cos, and this is tan. So this is sine, this is cos, and that is tan. So let's say I calculate the sine of this angle. So sine 30 will be, of course this will be hypotenuse, but because I am looking with respect to this particular angle, so the perpendicular will be opposite to this angle. So this will be perpendicular. Like I told you, if I were looking from this angle, the perpendicular will be this. But because I am looking with respect to this angle, so this will be perpendicular and the remaining side will be base. I hope this is clearly visible. Yeah. So sine of 30. So sine, we know sine is perpendicular divided by hypotenuse. So this will be perpendicular divided by hypotenuse. And sine 30, like I told you, that we need to remember the first row, that sine of 0 is 0, sine of 30 is 1 by 2, and so on. So sine of 30 is 1 by 2. So P by H will be equal to 1 by 2. Okay. Same way we can write for cos also. So cos 30 will be equal to base upon hypotenuse. Base is this, base divided by hypotenuse. Okay, and cos 30 is just in the reverse order because sine 60 is root 3 by 2. So cos 30 will be also be equal to root 3 by 2. So this will be equal to root 3 divided by 2. So now we can just compare the two ratios because the hypotenuse is same. If the hypotenuse is same, we can directly compare the two ratios. So P ratio B ratio H will be equal to 1 ratio root 3 ratio 2, that is 30, 60, 90. So whenever we are given a triangle in which the angles are 30, 60, 90, so the length of sides will be in this particular ratio. So in front of the angle that is 30, so if this value is 1, then this value will be root 3. In front of 60 it will be root 3 and this will be 2. See, the actual value can be much more, but it is just the ratio representation. So if the value of this particular side is 1, then this side will be root 3. Let's say if I take this side as 10, then this will be 10 root 3, 10 times, right? I multiplied this side by 10, so I will multiply this side by also 10. Likewise, if I take, let's say, this value as 5, so this will be 5 root 2 and this will be 10, 2 into 5. Okay, this is just telling me the ratio. So this is what about what I told you about 30, 60, 90. So we need to remember that if there is any triangle in which the side in which the angles are in the ratio 30, 60, 90, then the ratio of sides will be in the ratio 1 is to root 3 is to 2. This will help us in easing our calculation when we will be solving questions from height and distance. Same way we can understand the second also, that 45, 45, 90. We can take in the same example. Let this is sine. Yeah. So let's say this angle is 45 degrees now. This is 45 degrees. This will be, of course, be hypotenuse. You can take this as perpendicular, this as base. Okay. So sine of 45 will be, sine is perpendicular divided by hypotenuse, and sine 45 is 1 by root 2. So this will be equal to 1 by root 2. And same way you can write for cos also. So cos 45 is equal to base divided by hypotenuse. Base upon hypotenuse cos. Okay. And of course, cos 45 is also equal to 1 by root 2. You can check that in the slide that I just showed it to you. So again, you can see that the h is common in the two ratios. So we can directly write that P is to B is to H. So we know that h is root 2. So when h is root 2, then P and B will be in the ratio 1 is to 2. That is, if the ratio of angles, or maybe the angles are 45 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees. So then you can directly remember this, that the ratio of sides will be 1 is to 1 is to root 2. That if I take this as 1, then this will also be 1 and this will be root 2. So if I multiply this by 5 or 10, like I told you in the last example, if this is 10, then this will also be 10 and this will be 10 root 2 and so on. This is just the ratio. And there is no explanation for the last, for this, because we don't know the value of sine 15 or 75. We just know the value of 0, 30, 45, 60 and 90 degrees. So because we have seen a few questions from this triangle also, 15, 75 and 90. So you can just directly remember this, that in the same example, let's say in the same example I need to, I'm doing the same things, like, so this is the triangle. Okay, so this is 90 degrees. Let's say one angle is 15 degrees and one angle is 75 degrees, just assuming the values. So what we can directly remember is that the ratio will be this, that the side in front of 15 degrees will be root 3 minus 1. The side in front of 75 degrees will be root 3 plus 1. And the side in front of 90 degrees will be 2. So we can just remember this, sorry, 2 root 2. Yes. We can just remember this ratio, that root 3 minus 1 is to root 3 plus 1 is to 2 root 2. Okay. You can remember this as a fact. This will help in some of the questions. Otherwise, it is generally not asked. See, generally we will see only 30, 60, 90 and 45, 45, 90. But in case a question comes, I guess there was one PYQ on this particular, with this particular values, that 15 degrees, 75 degree, 90 degrees. So I think I should have included it. So I have included it. So you can just remember directly that if the angles are 15 degrees, 75 degrees and 90 degrees, then the ratio will be root 3 minus 1, root 3 plus 1 and 2 root 2. Okay. I think this should be clear regarding this. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the chat. Okay. Otherwise, we can move ahead. Okay, try this question. This is the first question for today regarding the basic trigonometric identity. Yeah. So you have 90 seconds. Yes, you have 90 seconds. You can just try this question and then we will look at the solution. Okay, so Banashri is asking, can you give an example for 270 degrees? Okay, I'll take one example. After this question, I'll take one example. Okay, the time is up. Let's try and solve this question. In this question, we are given that cos x plus sec x is equal to 3. Find the value of cos cube x plus sec cube x. Okay, even though we know that okay sec is just the reciprocal of cos, but because we need to find the cube of it, so I can just do the cube both sides. So how we can approach this question? We are given that cos x, okay, plus sec x is equal to 3, and I need to find the cube, right? So I can just do the cube both sides. So I can write I can just cube it, right? Is equal to cube of 3, that is 27. I hope you must be knowing the formula of a plus b ka whole cube. If just for the reference, if I have to write a plus b whole cube, it will be equal to a cube plus 3a square b plus 3ab square plus b cube. So this is the formula of a plus b whole cube. If you do not know, then you can just remember this formula, and we will be using this formula. So here a is cos x and b is sec x. So I just need to do the cube. So this will be equal to cos cube x plus sec cube x. Okay, I've just written these terms initially, and now I will write that remaining two terms. That is 3a square b. So a is cos x. So 3 into cos square x multiplied by b, that is sec x, plus 3ab square. A is cos x. So 3 cos x multiplied by b square. B is sec x. So now it will come as b sec x square, means sec square x. Okay, of course, the right hand side is equal to 27. This was about the formula. Okay, so we need to find the value of this, right? We need to find the value of cos cube x plus sec cube x. So just leave this value as it is. Okay, and also one more thing, like I told you, we know that cos x is equal to 1 by sec x, right? So in place of cos x, I can write 1 by sec x. So 3 into, in place of cos x, I can, okay, in place of sec x, I can write, okay, let's replace the cos. So this will be 1 by sec square x. But I think that will just complicate the question, right? So what I can do, I can just write this term. That will help us in easing our calculation, okay? So writing this as cos square x only. But in place of sec x, I can write 1 by cos, because cos x is 1 by sec x. So sec x is equal to 1 by cos x. So I can write here 1 by cos x. Likewise, here also, what I can do here is, in place of cos x, I can write 1 by sec x. So I can just write it as 1 by sec x multiplied by sec square x. That is equal to 27. Okay, so now this will cancel out. This will also be cancel out. One power will cancel out. Only one power will be left. So this value we need to calculate, plus 3 cos x plus 3 sec x, that is equal to 27. So we can just take 3 common. This is equal to cos x plus sec x, that is equal to 27. We also know that a value of cos x plus sec x is equal to 3. So we can just put the value here. So this will be 3 multiplied by 3, because cos x plus sec x is 3. So we just multiplied it, that is equal to 27. Okay, so we need to find the value of this. So what we can do is just uh, this value we can just take the to the right hand side. So this value will be equal to 27 minus 9, that is equal to 18. Okay, because we needed the value of this particular term. So we took this term to the right hand side. So this, that is equal to 27 minus 9. Just for the reference, I am writing it here. Okay, so cos cube x plus sec cube x is equal to 27 minus 9, that is 18. I think this should be clear. If you have any doubts, you can just ask in the live chat. Otherwise, we'll move ahead. And also one doubt, if you don't have doubt regarding this, one student said that she wants to know about 270 degrees. Likewise, we did for the 90 degrees. If let's say I need to find the value of sine 270 minus some theta. So because from 90 and 270 this will get changed. So this will come out to be cos theta. But we need to see, we know that the identity will change. At the same time, we need to also check the sign. Okay. So again, sine, let's say 270 plus theta will also be equal to cos theta. But we just need to check the sign. So here this is 90, this is 270, this is 360 or 0 also, and this is 180. So while I am writing 270 minus theta, so if I am writing 270 minus theta, that means I am in this particular quadrant. If I am writing 270 plus theta, then this. If 270 minus theta, then this. Okay, so this is first, this is second quadrant, this is third quadrant. Like I told you, we will be moving in the anti-clockwise direction. This will be fourth. Okay, so 270 minus theta means in the third quadrant, because 270 minus something will land us in the third quadrant, and in 270 plus theta we will be coming in this particular quadrant. So because this is add sugar to coffee, that is ASTC. So in the third quadrant, that is this, we know that only tan is positive because sine is not positive, so it will come out to be minus cos theta. And in the fourth quadrant, I know the cos is positive because sine is not positive, so again this will be minus cos theta. I hope this clears your doubt. You were asking. Okay, yes, for this particular question, the answer is 18. RR, your answer is correct, and also Banashi, your answer is also correct. And I have also taken your doubt. If you have still any doubts, you can just put it in the chat and I will take that question. Okay. So I think her doubt should be clear now. Okay. Moving ahead to the next question. Yeah, try this. This is also based on trigonometric identity. You have 90 seconds for this question. Try this question. Okay, so the time is up. Let's try to solve this question. So here we are given that cot theta plus cos theta is equal to 12 and sin theta plus 1 divided by cos theta is equal to 3. We need to find the value of tan theta multiplied by sec theta. Okay. So what we are given is that cot theta plus cos theta value is 12. Value of this term, that is sin theta plus 1 divided by cos theta, this is equal to 3. Again, sin theta by cos theta is tan theta, like I told you, because okay, okay. So this was sin, this was cos, and this was tan. So sin theta is p by h, and cos theta is b by h, that is base upon hypotenuse. So we can just divide sin by cos. So here h and h will cancel out. It will come out to be perpendicular divided by base, which is nothing but equal to tan theta. So here also we are using the same thing, that is sin theta by cos theta will be tan theta plus 1 by cos is 1 by cos, that is reciprocal of cos is sec theta. So plus sec theta equal to 3. So one thing that we can note from these two equations, just by observation, we can see that tan is just the reciprocal of cot, sec is just the reciprocal of cos. So what we can do is just let the values. For example, let's say the value of cot theta is a. So this will be a plus. Let's say the cos theta is b. We are just representing cot theta as a and cot theta as a and cos theta as b. So a plus b is equal to 12. So here, because tan is just the reciprocal of cot, so this will be equal to 1 by a plus sec is just the reciprocal of cos, so plus 1 by b is equal to 3. Okay, so now we just need to find the value of tan theta into sec theta. So tan theta, we know it is equal to 1 by a multiplied by sec theta. Sec theta, we know it is 1 by b, so into 1 by b. So what we are essentially want to calculate is 1 divided by ab. So we need to find the value of 1 by ab. We can just solve these two equations and we'll be able to find the value. Let's try to simplify the second equation. So there, just taking the LCM or multiplying the denominator. So this will come out to be b plus a divided by ab. I've just taken the LCM, and or you can say I just multiplied this value here, and these two values. Okay, b plus a is equal to a plus b, that is equal to 12. I can just substitute the value here. So 12 divided by ab, that is equal to 3. So 3 and 12 will cancel out. So what I am getting here is that 4 by AB is equal to 1, or value of AB will be equal to 4. So we need to find the value of 1 by AB. So we can just do the reciprocal of this term, that is 1 by AB will be equal to 1 by 4. Just doing the reciprocal because we were asked to find the value of 1 by AB, and we have already calculated the value of AB. So this will come out to be final answer, that is 1 by 4. So this is option number B. Okay, I think this should also be clear. If you have any doubts, you can just ask in the live chat. Otherwise, we'll move to the next question. Yeah, again, Banashi, your answer is correct. And Trents, your answer is also correct. That is B. So if you don't have any doubts, we can move to the next question. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we have a question from heights and distance. Try this. I think this will take some time. So I've given you 2 minutes. Try this question. Okay, so the time is up. Let's try and attempt this question. Okay, we first need to draw the figure, right? So a man is standing on the bank of a river, observes a boat which is on the other end of the. Okay, there should not be boat. Other end of the river it should be. Sorry for this typing error. And this is river, of course. So observes a boat which is on the other side of the river. The boat has a flag which is mounted on a pole. The angle of elevation of the flag for the man is 30 degrees. After 1 minute, the angle of elevation changes to 60 degrees. If the width of the river is 21 meters, then find the speed of the boat. Ignore the speed of river. Okay, let's try to make the figure for this question. Let's say the man is standing here. Okay, man is standing here, and here it is the boat. Okay, the boat, let's say, is here, and this is the flag. So the boat has a flag. Let's say this is a flag. I think I should make it a bit here so that it should be clearly visible. Let's say this is the height of the flag. Yes, somewhere is the boat. And the man observes that the angle of elevation for this, what is, okay, so the angle of elevation is 30 degrees. Okay, so the angle of elevation, that is this angle 90, this is the angle of elevation that is given us to be 30 degrees. Okay, so this of course will be 60 degrees. In the second case, after 1 minute, the angle of elevation changes to 60 degrees. So let's say the second case is here. Let's say this is the height and this is the angle of elevation. This angle of elevation, okay, this angle of elevation is given us to be, this complete angle is given us to be 60 degrees. Okay, so one thing you can ask, that why I am not taking this farther than this, because one thing you can see that, okay, when I am looking at any object from here, there will be some angle of elevation, and when that particular object is, let's say, coming closer to me, then I will have to look like this, right? So the angle of elevation will keep on increasing if the object is coming closer to me, and if the, let's say, object is going far away from me, then I will have to look like this. So likewise, you can understand that if this particular object is coming closer to him, then only the angle of elevation can increase, right? So by this logic, this particular boat is coming in the direction in which the man is standing. Okay, I think this should be clear now. The diagram. Also, we are given that the total distance is 21 meters. Okay, we'll look at it, but first let's try to understand. So like I told you, the 30, 60, 90 is pretty useful to solve the height and distance questions. That is 1 is to root 3 is to 2. We can directly compare that then. Okay, so if in this particular triangle, this is 30 degrees, so this will be 60 degrees. Okay, so if this is 30 degrees, so the side in front of 30 degrees will be 1 in terms of ratios. So if this is 1, then this will be in front of 60 degrees, it will be root 3. And the remaining side that is in front of right angle, this will be equal to 2. In terms of ratios, right? These are not the actual values. These are just the ratios. So likewise, we can apply the 30, 60, 90 rule in the second triangle also. So if, let's say, this is 30 degrees. So in front of 30 degrees, it is 1. So this will come out to be 1. In front of 60 degrees, it will be root 3. I think I've made some mistake. Okay, right, this is 60. In this triangle, this is 60. So because this is 60 degrees, so this will be 30 degrees. So in front of 30 degrees, it should be 1, right, in terms of ratios. So this complete is root 3. And in this triangle, in front of 30, the ratio wise it will be 1. So this particular distance is 1. So in the side in front of 30 degrees is equal to 1, and the side in front of 60 degrees will be equal to root 3. So this will come out to be root 3. But we have already let this value as 1, so we can just equate the ratios. If I can let this term as root 3, like I told you, we can just multiply the ratios and change the values. So if I multiply this by root 3, so this will come out to be root 3. This was 1, I multiplied it by root 3 so that I can equate the two equation that I am forming. So likewise, I will have to multiply this also. This was root 3, so I can just multiply it by root 3. So root 3 into root 3 will give me 3 total, right? So now the two ratio that I am able to found from the two triangles are satisfying. Okay, so if this is 1, this is root 3, this will be 2, even though this is not required. So we are given that the width of the river, that is 21. So this is the width because the man observes a boat which is on the other end of the river. So this is the other end of the river and he is standing on one end of the river. So this is the width of the river, that is given us to be 21. So we have let the, see, by our ratios, the value is 3. So the value of 3 in real terms it is 21. So we can just multiply the value that we have assumed in the ratios and we can just go to the actual values that are given in the question. So what we can do here is we can just multiply it by 7. So this is the distance that is being traveled, right? So this is the distance that is being traveled in 1 minute. After 1 minute, the angle of elevation is changing. So this distance is the boat is traveling in 1 minute. So this distance is equal to, total distance is 3. This is 1. So 3 minus 1, that is 2. So the ratio wise, this distance is 2 that the boat is traveling in 1 minute. So because 3 is 21, so we can just multiply it by 7. So the value of 2 will be 2 multiplied by 7, that is equal to 14. So the boat is traveling a distance of 14 meters in 1 minute. So the distance traveled is equal to 14 meters in 1 minute time. Okay, so we now need to find the speed, right? So speed is distance upon time. So in 60 seconds, so first we need to calculate the speed in terms of meter per second. So in 60 seconds, it is traveling 14 meters. So speed will be distance upon time. So this is meter per second. So but I think yes, we are need to calculate the speed in kilometer per hour. So we need to convert from meter per second to kilometer per hour. So for that we can just multiply it by 18 by 5. I hope you must have gone through the time speed distance that was also conducted in this particular channel itself. In that video, I discussed about how I should be converting from meter per second to kilometer per hour. Just for the reference, I can tell you, because this is meter per second. So in 1 meter, if we want to, let's say this is 14 by 60. It is meter per second. So if we want to convert from meters to kilometers, I can just divide by 1000, right? Because in 1 kilometers there are 1000 meters, and in 1 meter it is 1 by 1000 kilometers, right? So what I can do here is 14 by 60 multiplied by 1000 now. So this is basically now converted, meter has been converted into kilometers, and for second I need to convert it into hours. So for that I need to multiply it by 60, because in 1 hour there are 60 minutes, and in 60 minutes there are, sorry, in 1 minute there are 60 seconds. So I need to multiply it by 60 twice. So what we are essentially doing, I can just cancel this out. Okay, so this is 2 into 5, this is 2 into 3, so this is 6 into 3, that is 18, and this is 5. So we can just multiply directly by 18 by 5, but this is how we are getting to this particular result. So I think this should be clear, but also like I told you, this has already been discussed in time speed distance session, so you can look at that session also. So like we can just multiply it by 18 by 5. So what we will be getting here is, this is 6 into 3, this is 6 into 10. So 14 into 3 is 42, 10 into 5 is 50. Or further, if we can just multiply the numerator and denominator by 2, so this will be equal to 84, this will be 100. So essentially, okay, 0.84, right? Because we are not getting an integer answer. This is 0.84 kilometer per hour. I thought the answer will be integer, but it is not. So this is 0.84 kilometer per hour, which is option number A. I hope this should be clear. I have just multiplied the numerator as well as denominator by 2, just to simplify. I hope this should be clear. It was a good question. If you have any doubts, you can just ask in the live chat. Yes, the answer of RR and Raguraj Gupta, it is correct. Right, it is option number A, that is 0.84. Okay, now this answer is correct. Correct. So you can now try this question also. This question is also from height and distance. Try this. Again, I am giving you 2 minutes for this question. Try. So the time is almost up. Let's attempt this question. So in this question, we are told that in a cricket ground, a batsman hit a ball straight and it hit the roof of the commentary box at a point P, which is at a height of 49 meters from the ground level. Find the approximate distance between the batsman and the bowler if the angle of elevation of P from the bowler and batsman are 35 degrees and 30 degrees respectively. Take 10, 30, 35 degrees at 0.7 value. Okay. Let's first start with getting the diagram right. It is in the height and distance question. It is very important to just frame the diagram first. If you are able to get the right diagram, you will be able to solve these questions very easily. So let's start with the diagram. Let's say this is on the ground. Okay, this is, let's say, the ground. This is the height of that commentary box. Okay. So somewhere here will be batsman and bowler. I'm denoting it by B. So these are the two angle of elevation that are given to us. Right. So these are the two angle of elevation that are given to us, and this is the height of commentary box. See, again, with the help of the angles, that the angle of elevation from the bowler, it is 35 degrees, and from the batsman it is 30 degrees. Like I told you, the closer you move to this particular, let's say this is the commentary box, right? So the closer you move to this commentary box, the angle of elevation will keep on increasing, because you will have to look like this, right? So here the angle of elevation will keep on increasing. Okay, so this will be the larger value, so this will be 35 degrees, this will be 30 degrees, and also we know that the 35 degrees is with respect to the bowler. So this is bowler, this is batsman. Okay, so this is of course 90 degrees. Now we are given that 35 degrees is 0.7. Again, using the same, so this is 10, that is perpendicular divided by base. So we are talking with respect to this angle, so perpendicular will be opposite here, like I explained, right? So this will be perpendicular, this will be base, and the side opposite to right angle is always hypotenuse. So this is perpendicular, this is base. We are given the value as 0.7. So 0.7 is essentially 7 by 10, right? In terms of ratios. So if this value is 7, then this value will be 10. Just in terms of ratios, right? These are not actual terms, but just in terms of ratios. If I take this value as 7, then this value will be 10. If I take this as 14, then this will be 20, and so on. This was with the help of the value that was given to us. And also there is second condition also, that this angle is 30 degrees. So again we can use 30, 60, 90 degrees. This complete angle will be 60 degrees. So we know in 30, 60, 90 degree triangles, the ratio of sides is 1√3:2, right? If the angles are 30, 60, 90 in a triangle, then the ratio of sides with respect to those angles will be 1:√3:2, right? We know this. So we can just use the same result here. So the side that is just opposite to 30 degrees will be equal to 1. So we know that the value of 1 is 7. So 1 is representing 7. So we can just change the values by multiplying the ratio by 7. So this will be 7√3, and this will be 14. Okay. So because the side that is opposite to 30 degrees is 7, so we can just multiply the ratio and we can change the values. So that the values will be coming as 7, 7√3, and 14. So now the angle that is, so this angle is 60 degrees. So the side that is opposite to 60 degrees will be 7√3, right? So this complete side will be 7√3. So this was in terms of ratios, and of course this value will be 14 in terms of ratios. Now we must be given something, right? So the height of the commentary box is 49. So we are given this value. So 7 is basically representing 49. So we have left in terms of ratios, but the actual value of the height of commentary box is 49. So we can just multiply the remaining values also, so that we are getting to the actual value that is used in the question. Okay. So but we are asked to calculate the value of the distance between batsman and bowler. So we need to calculate this distance. So because the total distance is 7√3, this distance is 7. Sorry, this distance is 10. So we need to find the value of this between batsman and bowler, right? So that will be equal to 7√3 minus 10. I hope this is clear and this is clearly visible. So 7 root 3 minus 10 is the distance between batsman and bowler in terms of ratios. But the actual values according to question is 7 is representing 49, so it is connecting at 7. So to get to the actual values, we need to just multiply this term by 7. Okay, after this, I think you can do just the basic calculations. So 7 into 1.732, this is right. The value of root 3 is, I guess, 1.7 root 3, well, 732 minus 10 multiplied by 7. Okay, because we are asked to calculate the approximate distance, because we are not getting integer answers, because we are asked to calculate the approximate distance. So we can use the calculator to do the remaining calculations. Let me see what is the actual answer for this question. We need to just multiply 7 into 1.732 minus 10 multiplied by 7. So this is coming out to be 14.868. Of course, you will be getting calculator in the exam. You can just use the calculator to do these calculations. So this is coming out to be 14.868. So approximately this is equal to 15 meters, right? So you can write this as 15 meters. So option D should be correct answer for this question. I hope this is also clear to you. If you have any doubts, you can just ask in the live chat. Otherwise, we'll move to the next question then. No, the Raguraj, the answer should be option D, not C. I hope I'm able to explain this question. If you still have any doubts, you can just tell your approach so that we can figure out what mistake you have done. Okay. Let's move ahead to the next question. Again, the question from height and distance. Try this. We try this question. So the time is about to end. So you will be getting calculator in the exam, right? So Raguraj, you have taken root 3 value as 1.7, but you will be getting calculator in the exam, so you can just use the calculator so that you are not making any silly mistakes in terms of calculation. The time is up. We can just start solving this question now. Okay. So two ships are coming towards each other and the distance between them is 800 meters. If there is a tower exactly in between them and both make an equal angle of elevation, that is of 45 degrees with the tower, find the height of the tower. Again, Let's start with the diagram. So this is the ground level. There are two ships, right? So let's say this is the ship 1. Just I'm representing it as ship. Okay. Let's say this is also a ship. And this is the tower exactly in between them. So if this tower is exactly in between them, that means that these two distances are equal. Okay. So two ships are coming towards each other and the distance between them is 800. So the total distance between them is 800. This tower is exactly in between. So these two distances are supposed to be equal, right? So this will be equal to 400 and 400 because the total distance is 800 and the tower is exactly in between. So these two values will come out to be 400. Okay. If the tower, okay, if there is a tower exactly in between them and both make an angle of elevation of 45 degrees. So we are given the angle of elevation, of course, we will not be considering the height of this. So angle of elevation for both the ships is equal to 45 degrees. So this is of course base. We will not be considering the height of the boat. Just for the explanation, I have taken that these are two are 45 degrees and this is, so this also be 45 because these two angles will be 45. So some will be 90 and this is 90. The summation of the three angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So this will also be 45 degrees. Again, you can see that 45, 45, 90. So for 45, 45, 90, the ratio will be 1:1 root 2, right? So in the side in front of 45, if that value is 1, so the value of this particular side will also be 1 and the value of this particular side will be root 2. Because in the second triangle also we are having the same value. So if this value is 1, so then this value will also be 1 and this value will be root 2. So again, right, from both the triangles we can see that the height of the tower is equal to 1 and also because this value is 400, so 1 is representing 400, so this one will also represent 400, right? And this value will represent 400 root 2. Let's see what is being asked. Find the height of the tower. So this is the height of the tower, that is 400. So this was an easy question, I guess. This should be 400. Just with the help of ratios, for that only I told you that if you know these ratios that 45, 45, 90 and 30, 60, 90, then you will be able to solve these questions very quickly with the help of just the ratios. So I think this should also be clear. This was a doable question. If we don't have any doubt, then we can move ahead to the next question. The Banashri we can do without the help of ratios also, but it will be very calculative, right? This is the reason because of which whenever we will be starting our preparation, be it CAT also, we start with percentages and ratios because that helps us not in just arithmetic but in other topics also. Even though you can do these questions without the ratios also, but that will be very lengthy, right? So for that only it is better to solve these questions by ratios. Percentages and ratios form the base of all the topics that you will be studying, not just for this particular exam. For let's say if you are preparing for CAT or maybe that for MBA entrance also, or maybe for IP MAT or CUET, for all those exams, percentages and ratios help a lot. I think this should be clear. Moving ahead to the next question, that is question number 6. Again a question from height and distance. Try this. Okay, I forgot to turn on the timer. So we have 2 minutes for this question because I've already invested some time, so I'll just start solving in after 1 minute maybe. Okay, let's start solving this question. Because I given enough time for this question, right? So from the top of a mountain that is 400-meter high, the angle of depression of a top and bottom of a fort are observed to be 45 degrees and 60 degrees respectively. What is the height of the fort? Okay. Again, we need to first frame the diagram. And one more important thing that you can note here is that, okay, this is the height of the mountain, right? This is the height of the mountain, and from the height of the mountain, you are getting the angle of depression of top as well as bottom of the fort. So for the angle of depression, we are looking down, right? If this is the my eye level, so for the angle of depression, I am looking down, and by looking down, I am able to see the top of the fort. That means the height of the mountain is more than the height of the fort. Okay, so that means the height of the fort is less than the height of the mountain. So this will be less than this. Okay. Okay. Right. So these were the basic condition. Now let's read out. So the angle of depression of the top and the bottom of the fort are observed to be 45 degrees and 60 degrees. Okay, so this will be the angle of depression, right? So if there are if the two lines are parallel, then if we draw any transverse line, then these two angles are same, right? If let's say there are two parallel lines, and if you draw a transverse like this, so then this angle and this angle are equal. Okay, so using this logic that is from the geometry, so because we are given the angle of depression for the height of the height of the fort is 45 degree and the bottom is 60. So for the height it is 45 degrees. So this will be 45 degrees. Because this is 45 degrees, so this will also be 45 degrees. Okay. And for the bottom of the fort, right? So this complete angle will be 60 degrees. So this complete angle is 60 degrees given to us. So because this is a transversal line between two parallel lines, so if this is 60 degrees, then this also will be 60 degrees. Okay, if this is 45, then this also will be 45. If this is 60, then this also will be 60. And of course, this is 90 degrees, this is 90 degrees. If this is 45, then this angle will be 45 degrees. Moving this for, okay, let's say. If this is 45 and this is 60 degrees, so the remaining angle will be 30 degrees. So this angle is 30 degrees. So we have again formed two triangles and we will again be using 45, 45, 90 and 30, 60, 90. Okay, let's look at the first triangle. So this is the upper triangle. The upper triangle, okay. This is the upper triangle. So we know that this angle is 45 degrees. This also will be 45 degrees. This is of course 90 degrees. And the other triangle is this one. So let's draw it here. So yes, this is the base. So this is 60 degrees. This is 30 degrees. This is 90 degrees. Okay. So again, in the 45, 45, 90 triangle, we know that the ratio of sides is 1 is to 1 is to root 2. Using the same here, this will be root 2. And the other two sides will be 1 is to 1. And in this triangle, the ratio will be 1 is to root 3 is to 2. So this will be 1. This will be root 3. This will be 2. Okay. So from this, we are able to figure out that in this particular triangle, so 45 was here. So this complete was 45. So here, if this particular side is 1, then this side will be 1 and this side will be root 2. And from this particular triangle, we are able to figure out that if this side is 1 again, if this side is 1, because the ratios are already said that this value is also coming out to be 1, this from this particular triangle, the value is also coming out to be 1. So we need not to multiply to change the ratios. So if this is 1, then this value is root 3. So this complete height of the mountain is root 3. So this I can write here as this is root 3. So if this is root 3, the remaining height, then this term is 2. I don't think we will be asked to calculate that. What is the height of the fort? Okay, so we need to find this value. But we are given this value, right? We know the value of height of mountain. So this particular height is 400. So the value of root 3 in terms of ratios. So the value of height of the mountain in terms of ratios, it is root 3. But the actual value is 400. So we can just divide by root 3. So 1 will be equal to 400 divided by root 3. Okay. So the height of the fort is root 3 minus 1. So the total height is root 3 and this distance is 1. So to calculate the height of the fort, we need to just subtract 1 from the total height of the mountain. So that is root 3 minus 1. So the value of 1 is 400 by root 3. So the value of root 3 minus 1, we can just multiply this term with this. So that is 400 divided by root 3. Okay, so this is the height of fort. We can just simplify it further. I think we can just multiply by root 3 up and down, or is it? No, the answer is given in these terms only. 400 root 3 minus 1 by root 3. So the answer is C. Even though we could have further simplified this term by multiplying by, let's say, root 3 in the numerator as well as denominator, but the answer is given in these terms only. We can just mark it. That is option number C. I hope this should also be clear with the help of ratios. That is 45, 45, 90 and 30, 60, 90. We are able to solve this question again. Okay. So if this is pretty much clear to you, then we can move ahead to the next question. Yes, I don't think there are any doubts. Yes, so let's move to the next question. So this question is again from heights and distance. Try this. You have 2 minutes for this question. Okay, the time is about to end. We'll try to attempt this question. Yes, let's start this question. In this question, we are told that Ram and Sham are looking at a pole. The pole is 100 meter tall. The angle of depression for Ram is 60 degrees and for Sham is 30 degrees. The least possible distance between Ram and Sham. So of course the least possible distance is perpendicular distance between 2 points. Okay. So both are looking at the pole. So let's say this is the pole. Right. So this is the pole. There are two persons, that are Ram and Sham. Let's say one person is here, the other person is here, and we are given the angle of depression. See, again, like I told you in the last question, let's say this is the Right. Okay, let's say, let me draw it again. This is the height of the pole. This is the angle of elevation for one person. This is, this is the angle of elevation for the second person. Okay. Like I told you in the last question, that if this is the line that is parallel to this, so this is the angle of depression and this will be equal to this. Because if there are two parallel lines, if I draw a transverse line, then this angle and this angle will also will always be equal. Same you can apply for the second case also. If these two lines are parallel and this is the angle of depression, so this angle, that is this particular angle, will be equal to this angle. Okay. So even though we are given that the angle of depression for Ram is 60 degrees and Sham is 30 degrees, but we know that as we move closer to this pole, the angle of elevation will keep on increasing. Like I told you in the earlier slides, that if I move closer to an let's say this is a pole, if I move closer to this, if let's say the height of the pole is this, if I move closer to this pole, then the angle of elevation will keep on increasing. So by that logic, I can directly write that this angle will be 60 degrees and this will be 30 degrees. And I'm given that the angle of depression for Ram is 60 degrees. So this is Ram and this is Sham. Okay. So now the least possible distance between them will be equal to the perpendicular distance, that is this distance. We need to calculate this distance, the distance between Sham and Ram. So the height of the pole is given to us as 100 meters. So this is 100 meters. Okay. So this is 100 meters. The height of the pole is given to us as 100 meters. So again, using the same logic of 30, 60, 90 triangle, that is 30, 60, 90 is 1 is to root 3 is to 2. So this is 30, 60, 90. We can just use the same again. So for this particular triangle, that is 30 here. So this complete will be 60. So let's say first calculate the value in terms of ratios. So this is 30. So in the side that is opposite to 30 degrees will be 1. Let's say this is 1. The side that is opposite to 60 degrees. So this will be 60 degrees for the larger triangle. This angle will be 60 degrees. So this complete distance will be root 3. Okay, in terms of ratios. This complete will be root 3. And of course, 2 will be the side opposite to the right triangle, the right angle. So this was on the basis of the larger triangle. And let's try to find the values with respect to the smaller triangle, that is this. So this will be 30 degrees. So this is 30 degrees. So this will be 1, this will be root 3, and this will be 2. So because I have already let this value as 1, so we need to just check the value as that should satisfy with respect to this triangle also. So with respect to this triangle, the value that is in front of 60 degrees is root 3. So I can just multiply the ratios by root 3 so that the two ratios are, I can compare the two ratios then. So if I am multiplying this ratio by 3, so then this will turn out to be root 3 into root 3, that is equal to 3, and this will come out to be 2 root 3. Now I can directly compare the two values. So now, because the side in front of 60 degrees is root 3, so I can write the side that is in front of 30 degrees will be 1 and this will be 2. Okay, so in terms of ratios, if this value is 1, so in terms of ratios, if this value is 1, then this complete value will be 3. Okay, so what we are given here, okay, we are given the value of the height of the pole, right? So this we are given to us, this is given to us as 100 meters. So the value of root 3 is 100 meters, and we need to find the value of this, the distance between Ram and Sham. So the total distance between, so total distance from this point to this point is 3, and this distance is 1. So the distance between Ram and Sham will be 3 minus 1, that is 2. So because root 3 value of root 3 is representing as 100, so the value of 1 will be 100 divided by root 3, and we need to find the value of 2, that is the distance between Ram and Sham. So we can just multiply this ratio by 2, so we will get the answer as 200 divided by root 3. We can just multiply the ratio by root 3, so this will come out to be 200 root 3 divided by 3. So either you can write the answer as this, or just to simplify, you can just multiply the numerator and denominator by root 3. So you will get the answer as this. So the answer given to us is, okay, answer is given as 200 by root 3. We need not to simplify this. So this is 200 by root 3. The option B is correct answer for this question. If you have any doubts regarding this question, you can just ask. If we don't have any doubts, we'll move ahead to the next question then. Okay, I don't think there are any doubts. Moving ahead. Okay. Okay, this was the last question for today. Yeah, so this was the last question. So I hope this session was useful. I will be just showing it to you the initial slides. Right. So this is just about the WhatsApp channel. Just a reminder. Before that, let's see if you don't have any doubts, then we can just wrap up this session. So yeah, this is about the WhatsApp channel. You can just, because the link will be available in the description box, you can just click on that link and join this WhatsApp channel, and all the free preparation resources as well as the important updates regarding examination or any other updates regarding the classes will be shared in that WhatsApp group. Also, these are the free 5 mock tests that we are providing, so you can just visit this cracku.in/IIM Bangalore UG mock test and you will be able to give these mock tests for free. Okay. So that was all about this session. I hope you found this session useful, and like I told you that a lot of free sessions we are conducting on this particular channel, so I would recommend you to subscribe to the channel so that you are not missing out on any session that we are conducting.